Good morning and welcome back to Withrow Urban Homestead. It's March the 13th and time for a garden tour. Most of the garden's still asleep, but here is an exciting find. The daffodils are up, and they all have buds. Looks like soon they're going to start to open, maybe today or tomorrow. I like to plant them thickly. It really helps them stand up and not flop over. These were gorgeous last year. It's our first spring flower. This is what I call our flower ring. I really grow these for my husband Dale. He loves his spring and summer flowers. In the middle, the next thing that's going to bloom are his snowflakes. Along the front, there'll be some paper whites. They do have some leaf damage from all the cold weather. Irises are along the edges. Then towards the back will be gladiolas for the summer and lilies in the front. Did you notice the two clumps of daffodils right there and over there? Your daffodils will divide and spread out. Last year there weren't any daffodils in that area, only around the outside. And sometimes I feel like they move from the ground freezing. But for sure, this variety will divide. The next exciting thing is our strawberries. They're already awake. They have some new leaves. I don't mulch my strawberries. The only time I mulched them, I killed them all. So now in the fall, I just leave them. They take care of themselves. You will have some outer leaves die, but the center stays alive. It lasts all winter. It even got down to 5 degrees this year, but they're fine. There's a few weeds popping up, but we'll take care of those later. Most of these along here are June-bearing strawberries. They'll actually be ready in May. Most are ready May and June. And the rest of the summer, you'll just get a few at a time. These are carrots from the fall that I left. I think there's 3 or 4. I left them through the winter covered. I just took the covering off, and now they're going to grow again and send up a flower head for seeds. and I'll save those seeds. These are cosmic purple carrots, an heirloom variety. I've been saving their seeds for many years. I'll also plant more carrots in the spring too. The blackberries aren't awake yet, but along here we have our annual seedlings germinating. I just made an update video about that. This is called winter sowing. The raspberries have developed buds, and did you see it? It's a little bit of green. Now these canes came up in the spring of 2024, and in the fall they fruited. Let me show you. So they fruited in the fall, but they didn't die back. You leave them because in the spring, in 2025, they're going to fruit again. New canes are going to come up this spring to fruit in the fall of 2025. So they fruit twice. Looks like our blueberry bush has buds too. I want to move it. I want to put it over with all the other berries. And I should have done that in the fall, but I was too busy. It may impact this year's fruit, but I'm going to move it over soon. Here is my fall Napa cabbage. It is one of my most resilient annuals. It'll make it through the winter. I didn't cover it with a fleece this year, and that's why it's small. But if you want it big, you have to cover it with a fleece starting in the fall. But the middle's still alive. I do suspect when the weather warms up, it's going to bolt, send up a flower head. But for now, I'm just going to leave it. The outer leaves died during each cold snap, but the middle stayed alive. And like I said, if I had covered it with fleece, it would have survived the winter. But this year, it just wasn't a priority. I didn't even have time to sheet mulch this area. These are my green stalk planters. And for the winter, I unstack them. And typically I cover them with fleece, but this year I didn't. I was curious to see what will actually survive uncovered. And I do see that the strawberries are coming back. Each tier has one strawberry plant, and they've all survived. It's not the sunniest location here, so they're not highly productive, but I grow them for a perennial green. I've also noticed that the creeping Jenny is growing again. Looks like all of those survived too. But they need a haircut. Each tier has an herb. There's a variety planted along here. None of them are coming back to life yet. In the fall, we moved the strawberries over. And I did sheet mulch first with cardboard and planted the strawberries into that. But as you can see, all of this here, that's a wild tri-cornered onion. And they've just grown up through all that cardboard. One of my top priorities is going to sheet mulch around these strawberries again and block these invasive plants. They're all over downtown. I used to have daffodils and tulips here. You see, I actually missed a daffodil and a tulip. But these wild onions would always just drown them out. So that's why I decided to dig them all up, and I shared them free with my neighbors, with my community. The porch pots, I see two things that have survived. Lots of strawberry plants and our fall snapdragons. Both the strawberries along the front and in the porch are ever-bearing strawberries. That means they fruit all summer long. Typically, they'll be smaller, but that's really not been my experience. Less are ripe at the same time, where the June-bearing, more are ripe all at once. Most of the ones in the green stalk, well, actually, I think the green stalk was a mixture of both. I think that is a pansy that's self-seeded. And the sweet alyssum we had in here in the fall, that will definitely self-seed. It always grows down here in front of the steps, along these cracks. This porcelain berry is still asleep. But the cardinals love to build a nest in here. Only the strawberries are awake in these green stalk planters. Never left them in this area before. It's much less protected right here. So we'll see what happens to the rest of the plants. And the grapevine, it's not awake yet either. The cardinals love the grapes. The catbirds too. And the catbirds are crazy about the porcelain berries. I didn't finish sheet mulching the garden in the fall. That's the reason we still have piles of cardboard. It's basically the back half of this side. And this year, I'm going to cover most of the garden with super hoops. I'm going to have less damage from animals and wind. It's going to make it easier for me. So these are super hoops. And we're going to set them up in all these other areas of the garden. This is the first winter I haven't taken down and emptied the rain barrels, because I noticed the last couple of years we've been having a drought. Typically in the spring it rains a lot, and last year we did get quite a bit of rain in March, but I hadn't set up the rain barrels because we were still having freezing nights, and by the time I set them up in April, I didn't get enough rain. By the end of May, June, July, August, I need water, especially when I'm transplanting plants. So I thought I'd risk having some damage from frozen water, and I only see one little leak, and it'll be easy to tape up. That'll be easy to fix. I was more concerned about the spigots splitting, but they seem fine. And this compost, that's already broken down. I'll move that Christmas tree. Then when I sheet mulch this area, I'll use that compost as a mulch on top. Ooh, I see something else exciting. This is my neighbor's jasmine tree. It is my absolute favorite. This is the benefit of having narrow gardens with open fencing. I get to enjoy everybody else's gardens. Here's the compost pile. This is from summer and fall of last year. And next to it is some bags of old leaves. They're in dark plastic bags, and they've been there since fall of 2023. Not ready yet. I'm making soil, but it needs 2 full summers to break down. In this area, I used to have a shelf, and it's to share plants free with my neighbors, with my community. But somebody stole it last year. It's an old broken shelf. Well, that's the reason I used an old shelf. I'll build something out of wood this year. Because I like sharing with my neighbors. Come back and watch as we fill up this garden with lettuce, greens, things like chard, onions, cabbage, various flowers, peppers, tomato, eggplant, a variety of things. I just love my garden. It's my happy place. Thank you for visiting Withrow Urban Homestead. See you later. Bye-bye.